What's up, goblins? I'm Scully the Goblin. How are you goblins doing today? Seriously, how the hell are you? So, if you read the title of the video, yes, you read correctly, a Minecraft update we wish to see. And by we, I mean me and Chris of the Abyss here, who's joining us today for this little video. It's going to be a video where we basically go over like some mobs we wish to see, like some structures, some other stuff too. Oh, and we even added in some books so we can show you like some of the stuff that's behind like the builds and that. But anyway, say hi, Chris.
What's up?
Now, I would like to take this opportunity to ask you goblins to go subscribe to Chris of the Abyss, aka the Abyss Assassins. Become an assassin over there. And hit the subscribe button here to join our little band of goblin outlaws and our little goblin tribe. And if you ain't a goblin, you can still join. Just don't cause shit for us goblins, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, because they will jump you.
Yep. We'll jump your bones. So, we are going to be starting off with a couple of mobs before we get into the structures and that. So, who are these, Chris? Read the signs for us, will ya? I'll show them the signs as well. I'm joking, I'll read it. So, the first people we're dealing with is the hillbillies. That's a joke. AKA swamp folk. So, the swamp folk are, what are they?
Alright. The swamp folk are a unique sort of pillagers who may trade with
You might want
the
to turn
player.
up your microphone a bit.
Damn it.
There you
The
go.
swamp folk are a unique sort of pillagers who may trade with the player as well as betray the player. However, they see fit. Oh, however they see fit. Damn it. But there is a reason for their personality. Damn it. They may. Damn it! I'm already fucking up. But there is a reason for their personality. But very know it. Oh, very few know it. It may be because they eat the mushrooms. It may be because they're insane. But many believe it is due to the witchcraft, or just maybe they're just the offspring of such witches. But no matter the manner, if you strike their witch mother, they will forget all mannerisms and attack you. So least you be careful, because the swamp folk never forget a face.
Alright, I thought I was the one that was going to mess up today.
That was an utter disaster.
Yeah, so allow me to explain this better. So, basically this update, it is called The Rise of the Ancients. Basically, it adds in like a new type of villager, including like new enemy types and new other stuff. And we'll get into it in a little bit. If you saw my very first Minecraft update video I want to see, you'll recognize the name. This is basically a re-overhaul of that. So, here's the swamp folk. Now, the swamp folk are a passive-aggressive, like, bunch. If you're at the edge of a swamp biome or that, there's usually, like, a building where you can go to and there'll be, like, a swamp folk merchant, and they trade with you. But here's the thing, the deeper you go in the swamp, the more aggressive swamp folk you find. Such as, let's see, where is he? The swamp hunter. Or the swamp hillbilly. Basically, these guys are, how do I put this? A bit psychotic. Like, when they see the player, they'll immediately shoot at them with a crossbow, bow, or even throw a throwing knife at them. Or come at them with a hatchet. Basically, you don't want to get too close to them. And we got the swamp witch, which is just like a regular old witch, but they're covered in basically vines and that. We got the swamp hunter. I thought you were the ones who were going to be reading the names.
Hey, you said you were taking over.
I never said that, but alright. So, the Swamp Hunter is basically a unique, swamp folk person. But we'll get into him after we get to the Swamp Mother. So, next is the Swamp Villager. It's basically a regular old villager with like a swamp skin that you can find them in swamp folk territory and also in regular territory where there isn't a lot of swamp folk. Now we have the, why don't you explain him? You're the one who named him.
The swamp clergyman. Basically, he's like a male version of the witch, except he only heals the other swamp folk if they get harmed in battle.
And next,
the Swamp Watcher. He's more of the lookout for the place. If any hostile enemies come nearby, he'll be the first one to alert them.
Basically, he emits a loud, like, noise that kind of sounds like a shriek. Think of the gas, but, more, like, mountain man-like.
Pretty much.
Now, here we have the swamp.
The Swamp Trader.
Yep.
He'll be the one trading around with you.
Yep. Next one, we have the Swamp Forgeman.
He basically crafts all the armors and weapons of all the swamp folk.
Yep. And the next, we got the Swamp Builder.
He builds the houses, the cages, and everything else that all the swamp folk need.
Yep. Then next, we got a Swamp Goblin.
Hey,
So,
that's your
yeah.
direction.
Yeah, that's basically, So this update will add in, like, new creatures and that. We'll get into him, like, later on, but that's pretty much it for these swamp folk. Let's move on to the next one.
Yep.
So, would you like to discuss this one, or should I?
The Swamp Warlock. Basically, he's the male version of the witch, and as the male version...
Just like the other
He
one,
helps-
but a bit more powerful.
Yeah. He helps the witch in battle, and helps him out with, fighting. But he tends to stay back, and uses his powers to, fuck shit up.
Really? You had to swear in the video? Alright. Now, let's move on to a creature we want to see in the swamps more. The Swamp Gator. Have you ever had one of those moments where you're walking through a swamp and wondering, why isn't there more enemies or animals in here? Why don't we see frogs or hell, a lot of fish? Once in a while you see fish in there, and usually just animals on land. Why not add gators? Now, there's it was 3 different types of gators you can run into. You can run into baby gators, that's like a small one, or no, it was 4. You can run into adult gators, which is just a bit bigger in that, at almost like the size of a villager. You can run into big gators, which is like a bigger, older version of a gator. Then you can run into mega gators. A mega gator is basically to where Chris of the Abyss is standing and where I'm standing right here. Basically, it's a big alligator. Think of like one of those giant slimes. It's the type you don't want to mess with. Next, we got the Swamp Father and the Swamp Mother. Now, basically, swamp folk have a strange way of breeding in that. And most of the time you see like swamp folk breeding with like witches and that. And basically the witches then give birth to swamp folk. A swamp mother, however, will give birth to usually 3 or 4 children. Now, basically, a swamp father is basically can be any swamp folk or captured villager. Pardon me. Basically, the Swamp Mother, if you went into the Swamp Mother's cabin, she would actually not be aggressive towards you. The Swamp Father, however, is a different case. Now, you could just kill the Swamp Father with no repercussions, but if you attack the Swamp Mother, she becomes aggressive, and basically a bunch of the swamp people in the swamp will immediately swarm to her area and try to kill you. So yeah,
As protection.
as like a protection thing. Now, why don't we show you the structures that would spawn in the swamp? This is a swamp folk hut that Chris of the Abyss built. It's just a regular old living quarters. Here's another one. What did you say this one was for again? Where'd you go? I'm over here. No, behind. There you go.
This one's originally for the Swamp Warlock. Due to blood magic.
Yep. The Warlock uses a new type of magic called blood magic. Sadly, the player can't use it.
Nope.
Alright, let's move on to the next one. Where's the next Oh, here we go. Now, this is just another regular old cabin. You can usually find basically either a swamp builder in here or a swamp goblin in these types of cabins. Now, here's the big one. This is the Swamp Mother and Father hut. Now, I imagine it would be randomly generated. You could have, like, different types of things. You could have, like, a little farm out here, but the place would always be surrounded by sugarcane and a giant cage. Now, the cages will usually have animals to like villagers to even pillagers inside the cages. And another thing is, you would usually find a lot of cats and even some other animals around here. Here we have the swamp mother and father in their natural habitat, and this is how it would actually look on the inside. I think when the cats got out, damn. If you follow me. Alright, the next cabin I want to show you is the Swamp Hunter. Or, no, wait, where is it? There it is, I went past it, damn. Now, the Swamp Hunter's cabin will always have a fire pit outside of it, including a beehive hut. Or, I don't remember what those are called. Now, a Swamp Hunter's cabin will always have this type of door. Or even have no door at all. This is what a Swamp Hunter's cabin looks like. Now, a Swamp Hunter looks almost like a merchant, except they have like vines and other stuff on them, and they carry around a crossbow and a hatchet. Now, the Swamp Hunter makes no sound and no noise when they walk. Now, you can usually find a Swamp Hunter inside their swamp cabin, which has that stuff on the outside, but also a cage in that. Now, a Swamp Hunter cabin has usually 2 or 3 cages on the outside of it. The first cage would have basically an alligator in it, or 2. And in the second cage, you can usually find a villager or a pillager half submerged in water. Now, another place you can find the Swamp Hunter is in a new structure that will spawn in the swamp biomes, or even sometimes swamp biomes combined with forest biomes. And that is the hunting blind. Now, when you find a Swamp Hunter in here, the last thing you want to do is head up here. Because usually a Swamp Hunter would be here, or he'll climb up the ladder to get back in here. Swamp Hunters and Swamp Folk do sleep at night, and also sometimes during the day. Now, there's one unique thing about the Swamp Hunter that I should mention in Goblins, and that is the Swamp Hunter is the only, Swamp Folk person who will actually actively hunt pretty much anything they can get their hands on. And they'll kill zombies, they'll kill creepers, they'll kill pretty much anything, except for skeletons. Basically, when a Swamp Hunter, or a Swamp Folk Hunter, gets a hold of basically, let's say, a zombie, a pig, and a sheep, and a cow, after they kill 4 things, they'll take the meat, head to every Swamp Folk person in their little village, and their houses are always spread apart, and give the other Swamp Folk people food. Now, the first person they'll drop food off is at the Swamp Mother's place. But the Swamp Hunter does have another ability, and we will get into that in a moment. So we'll have to come back to the Swamp Hunter and Swamp Goblin here in a moment. And the Swamp Builder. Alright, let's move on to another group of basically villager types we wish to see. Let's make it daytime real quick, don't mind me. Alright, Chris, this will read the book as I read the name. The Nomads.
The Nomads are a tribe of villagers who were kicked out or left, or who went off in search of adventure, and who survived pillages. The Nomads are a unique sort of villagers, for they are survivors who are willing to trade and fight back. They are never afraid to help the player in dire situations, such as the dread of night.
So, villager nomads is usually a group of villagers who basically travel around. When it gets near night or a certain time of day, they'll set up a camp and they'll stay in the camp for usually about 3 in-game days. Now, there's different types of nomads. The first one we have here is the nomad villager. Basically a nomad who's just a regular old nomad. But here's the thing. When nomads come across an abandoned village or a zombie village, they'll immediately settle down in that village and basically make it so it's inhabited again. You can find these guys pretty much anywhere. And the next one is the Nomad Chief, basically the leader of the group. When he's attacked, other nomad villagers or even some other nomad types will come to his defense. Next we have the Nomad Scout, basically somebody who runs ahead of the group and scouts out for danger or that. Next we got the Nomad Horse Rider. Name's pretty self-explanatory. Then we got the Pig Rider and the Nomad Builder. Basically, these are the guys who build the camps. Then we got the Nomad... He keeps running around. Can you read it?
Nomad Merchant.
Basically, these guys go around trading, and they usually have llamas or even another type of animal that has chests on them. Then we got the Nomad Thief. Now, Nomad Thieves will actually go into the player's home or other Nomad tents and steal stuff out of the chest. The only way you can get them back is if you kill him for it, or wait till he goes up to the merchant and gives them the items. So you have to basically buy them back. Next is the Nomad Witch. Basically, it's a witch who travels with nomads in that, and will actually use healing potions to help basically the other nomads. And as an example, we're going to show you a nomad camp here. This is a nomad camp right here. These types of tents, basically you can find pigs, horses, or mules, or even other animals in here. Usually tied up to the pole. You can also find a bell in the nomad camp, including like some other tents. Nomads are the only type of villagers who will sleep outdoors, including swamp folk. Although swamp folk are technically not villagers. This is an alchemist tent, and over here we have basically a farm that the nomads set up, and why is there tridents here? And basically an archer range. I think I forgot to add the nomad archer. Damn. We also have a blacksmithing area and some area where they can prepare food and another tent. Oh, we also have a map making area and an area where they'll keep livestock such as sheep or other animals. Alright, let's make our way to the new pillagers. Actually, no, let's make our way over here first. So, we are at the new villagers. And we should probably start off with these villagers first, shouldn't we? I think we forgot to make a book for these guys.
Yeah, we did.
Alright, let's just start off at one of the ends. Would you do the honors?
Oh no, it's because they were self-explanatory.
Alright, shouldn't read that one yet. Fuck it, they already saw it. The Dragon Rider. So, basically, name's pretty self-explanatory. Hey, these guys ride dragons. And I guess that kind of gives away that little area over there. Fuck. Alright. Next is the Ravager Rider. Basically, these guys ride Ravagers. Well, domesticated Ravagers. Next, we have the Villager Explorer. Basically, these guys will explore, and they do fight against zombies, creepers, and other things. You can usually find these guys with swords, axes, shovels, bows, and even crossbows. And you can even find them in armor. And they will trade with the player. Next, we got the Villager Builder. It's basically a builder who will build up a village in that. Next, we got a Goblin Villager. That one's pretty self-explanatory. We got the Villager Hunter. It's basically a hunter who goes out in the woods and basically hunts game in that and brings them to the other villagers. Basically the meat in that. Next, we got the Villager Lookout. It's basically a lookout who will spawn in a villager tower and basically, well, a village tower and basically keep a lookout. Next, we got the Reformed Pillagers. Would you like to explain them?
The Reformed Pillagers, basically, they've given up their life of crime. They don't want to be evil anymore. So instead, they decided to come here to the villagers and
help them,
reform
basically
in their old ways. Yeah.
So the Reformed Evoker is basically a healer of the group. When a villager gets injured, they'll immediately heal them. They'll even attempt to heal Iron Golems. Now, the Reform Vindicator. These guys will usually help farm or even guard the village. And the Reformed Pillager. These guys are more of the type who will basically guard the village in that as well. Then we got the Witch Villager, or Villager Witch. It's basically a witch who decided to settle down in a village and help out the villagers. Iron Golems will not attack these mobs, by the way. Next we got the Villager Lumberjack. Name's pretty self-explanatory. They cut down trees and plant trees. Would you like to read the next name?
The Villager Sailor.
Basically, you can find villagers on basically boats sailing around or even fishing. There's even a new type of structure, which is basically a boat, which we forgot to build, where you can find pillagers or even villagers. And I'll explain the pillager part later. Next, we have the Villager Queen. Basically, the Rise of the Ancients update is basically... What are you doing?
It's spelled wrong.
You're the one who spelled it, didn't you?
Yeah. There.
Was it because I used a lowercase?
No, it's because it's Q-U-A. I changed it to Q-U-E-E.
Alright, so the Villager Queen is basically a queen of the village. It's basically they rule the village, and basically when a village gets a certain size, a villager will become either a villager queen or king. Now, once a queen is picked, basically the villager queen will immediately go up to any nearby villager and turn them into a king. Once then, both of them are inseparable and will basically help rule the village. Now, when the villager king or queen breeds with one another, another villager will be born, and it will usually be a, well, villager prince or princess, basically. I forgot to add those two in, didn't I? Next, we have the Villager Guard. These guys guard the village in that, including kings and queens. Next, we have the Villager... Would you like to read the rest?
The Villager
My throat's getting dry. So, the Villager Archer is basically people who have bows and crossbows, and they'll also guard the village. Next, we have the Villager Knight. These guys will only guard the king and queen, and basically wander around. When a village does not have a king or queen, they will enter the village and basically sleep in a bed for the night, and then immediately get up and leave during the day. Next, we have the Villager
Empress.
Empress. Sorry. When a village gets to a ginormous size, let's say a village got to the mountain over there, right there, all the way to there, and to there, and to there. That's one massive village. Instead of it having a king, they would have either an emperor or empress. When one of them spawn in, they'll immediately search out for a nearby person to make into their, emperor. Now, let's say basically a queen died and an empress was born. The empress will immediately go to the villager king and turn them into an emperor. Next is...
The Villager Miner.
The Villager Miner. These guys are self-explanatory. They go around mining ore and that, and you can usually buy different types of ore from them. You can also buy diamonds, obsidian, and some other stuff. Next we have the Villager...
Inventor.
These guys basically build different types of golems, and different types of structures once in a while.
Should we show them the golems?
Oh yeah, we should show them the golems. We'll be right back to this. Would you like to read the book for these guys?
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, I thought you went the wrong way again. Are you trying to hide behind me? Alright. I'll let Chris of the Abyss take over from here.
These are separate forms of golems. Like the Iron Golem, these are used for protecting villages, the Nether, and the End. However, some are not for protecting, such as the Soul Sand Golem, the Magma Golem, and the Lapis Golem. It's okay, I already finished reading anyway.
Yeah, I went to check a video on my phone, see if that live stream was up yet. That video I want to watch. Damn. Alright, so I'll show you the different types of golems. We have the Scarecrow Golem that's made with one hay block and 3 wooden fence posts. We have the Slime Golem that's made with slime blocks, the Lapis Golem, the Diamond Golem, Emerald Golem, Gold Golem, Iron Golem, which is basically the regular, Magma Golem, Soul Sand Golem, Obsidian Golem, and Wood Golem, Smooth Stone Golem, or wait, not Smooth Stone,
Stone Brick.
Stone Brick Golem, and Cobblestone Golem, and Honey Golem. Now, the Soul Sand Golem, the Magma Golem, and the Lapis Golems are the golems that actually will attack the player once they're made. And including anything else that you're near. However, they do have a special ability. Magma Golems can set the player on fire. Soul Sand Golems can slow them down and add a blindness effect. Lapis Golems have this magic effect that makes it so they're poisoned and affected with pretty much everything else. They're basically like a boss fight. Now, the gold golem is actually one of the fastest golems in the game. It moves fast and it hits the like enemy mobs real fast. However, they do have the least amount of health. Not as much as the Scarecrow Golem. Next is the Emerald Golem. The Emerald Golem basically goes around like a regular old golem and hits just as hard as the Iron Golem. Next we have the Diamond Golem. These Diamond Golems do a lot more damage and have a lot more health. Next is the Slime Golem. Now, a Slime Golem is actually pretty fast as well as the Gold Golem. However, when they hit an enemy, they go twice as high in the air as the other time golems hit. And basically you have more fall damage. The Scarecrow Golem, however, is basically... well, it's not a big golem. It's like the Snow Golem, and they'll throw basically usually farming tools at the player, such as hoes that will basically land in the ground. However, you cannot pick these up, and they will disappear over time. Next we have the Honey Golem. The Honey Golem is actually the slowest golem in the game. When it hits the player, it has a slowness effect and is pretty much unable to get away. Next you have the Cobblestone Golem. This is another golem that's a bit weak, but still does a bit of damage. These golems are actually fireproof, due to the fact they're made of rock. Next we have the Smooth Bricks Golems. These guys are actually a bit stronger than the Cobblestone Golems. Next we have the Wooden Golem. These guys are made with wooden logs.
Severely weak to fire.
Yeah, fire usually kills these guys instantly.
Ooh, can I explain the Obsidian one?
Yep, go ahead.
Alright, the Obsidian Golem. He's more of the tank of the type. He's very, very slow and a very big hard hitter. He will almost kill a lot of these mobs. However,
he can
since
one-shot
he's very slow, since he's severely slow, well, it's actually self-explanatory. Since he's severely slow, most of them pretty much get away.
Yep. Or most of them charge them. And then you have the Soul Stain Golem. This golem will actually change into basically almost a Wither skeleton, except they have a pumpkin on their head, and when you take the pumpkin off, it does not show a Wither skeleton. It will show... actually, it will show a Wither skeleton. The Magma Golems, you can find these guys in the Nether pretty much at all times, and these guys will attack you under the lava. If you're on a Strider, they will come up and basically attack you. So there's something to watch out for. And they blend in, so you're pretty much screwed. Alright, so the next... the Builders. The guys who we want to talk about, the Rise of the Ancients. Now, this update adds in a new type of villager, some of which you can find in regular villages or in their own villages. These guys basically look like the player model, well, except it's different. These are basically an ancient group of builders who are now returning back to the world of Minecraft. That was pretty self-explanatory, so I'll let you read your book.
Alright. The Builders, how people have never seen them before or like them, but people have discovered hints that they were long since forgotten. Until today, they came into the world of Minecraft. Not much can be said about them as nobody can really understand them.
I think I'm reading the wrong book.
No, it's the right one.
Oh, alright. My bad. Keep going.
The way they write is fairly similar to the text of the enchantments, but a little bit different. Perhaps one day they can learn, speak, and understand English and tell us stories of who they are, where they were, what happened to them, and what they can do.
So, the Builders have basically the same types of, villagers as, the Illagers. Basically, they have, the same professions they can get. There's, new profession blocks. I forgot to add those in. But, yeah, basically you can run into different builders. Let's go with this guy, the Explorer. This guy you can find pretty much anywhere. They explore, they'll chop down trees, and basically build, houses in that once in a while. But they mostly just explore. They don't stay in one place for long. Next is... what do you want to take it from? The
Merchants.
The Merchant. These guys, self-explanatory, they trade. The Guard, these guys guard the villages and castles and that. Queen, basically, just like the other ones. King, thief, these
Damn,
guys
the
will
other
go in your houses and that and steal your shit, basically. And
They
will
don't care
sometimes
where
take
you
it to a
are.
merchant. Then there's the knight. I made him look
Protects
like
the
that
king and queen.
because it did look like a knight. Then you have the builder. It's basically a regular old builder who wander around, start building, that sort of thing. Now these guys, you can find their villages as in castles or regular villages with walls built around them. And you'll find usually a bunch of guards and other types of villagers there. Now, when you find a lone builder or wandering around, they will usually start building in a spot, or if they come across a player home where you have a bed and you slept in the bed, they'll build a house right next to yours and basically turn that place into a village. And the reason for that is because builders see you as one of their own and will immediately try to make a village with you.
Shall we explain the flags?
Yep, so flags will appear in different types of villages and areas. We should probably get into this after we show the others off.
Alright.
Now let's move on to another type. Now I know my channel's name and that, obviously I would want to see these guys in here. Goblins. So, would you...
Goblin King. Oh yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
When the builders entered the New World, they discovered strange creatures thought to have been extinct, such as animals and even monsters. The goblins are ones they considered monsters, but some goblins are actually kind at heart, though there are many distinct races of goblins, such as the Red Goblins, the Shadow Goblins, the Golden Goblins, and many more. Me personally, I've befriended a goblin by the name of Scully, who considers himself cruel and cutthroat, though he's also kind.
Why'd you have my name in there?
Because I wanted to.
Alright, so Goblin Witch. Basically a goblin who makes potions and helps heal other goblins, and will poison the player if you get too close. The Goblin Mage, this guy actually uses magic and will summon basically these weird ghosts, including like some types of animals to you. Next we have the Goblin Overlord. Basically it's the ruler of all goblins, and after some time when a goblin village or like camp gets built up enough, they'll basically select a chief or king into an overlord, or even queen. Next we got the Goblin War Chief. These guys you can find usually raiding villages and that. Goblins do raid villages, but not all of them. Next we got the Goblin Queen, basically self-explanatory. Goblin King, Goblin Knight, which guards the Goblin King and Queen, Goblin Guard, and
Protects
then we
the
got
goblins.
the Goblin Lookout, who's basically a lookout. Then we got the Goblin Berserker. These goblins, however, these ones you don't want to go near. These goblins, when you enter a goblin village or camp, these goblins are behind bars or even in a cage off the ground. These guys are
For good reason.
extremely aggressive. You can find them during raids and they'll attack anything in sight, even sometimes other goblins. Next we got the... Would you like to read this?
The Goblin Boar Rider.
Basically, this adds in a new creature, and this goblin rides it. Then we got the Goblin Thief. These guys will sneak into villages and that and steal items. Guards will immediately attack them. Villagers will usually run away from them. Goblin Farmer, self-explanatory. Basically, they farm. Goblin Merchant, basically, they go around trading. And they'll usually spawn in with a guard around them who basically protect them.
The Goblin Blacksmith.
Basically, self-explanatory, makes the armor. And...
Goblin Scout.
Wait, didn't we have a scout at the other end? Oh no, that was lookout.
No.
Basically, these guys
Yeah.
scout out the area. Now, let's make it daytime.
Again.
Now, let's show you goblins the new zombies that will also be in the update. So, the first one is the Ancient Zombie. It's basically the regular zombie you usually see. Next, we have the
original.
Pillager Zombie, who basically is a pillager who turns into zombies. This update makes it so pillagers will now attack zombies. We got the Builder Zombie, which kind of looks like the Ancient Zombie, except it'll have different clothes and different looks. Then we have the Goblin Zombies. We goblins don't like zombies that much because of that.
Yep.
Oh, he despawned. What the fuck? Or
What
did
the
the
what?
zombie kill him?
Did it?
Yeah, you might have to add him back in. Damn.
I don't even know which one it was.
It was just the regular one. The one with the name on the sign. Ah, shit. I'll just mention
Oh,
these
the
ones.
Monster Hunter.
So, monster hunters. These guys are self-explanatory. They hunt down different creatures, monsters, mobs, and even, like, pillagers and that. First one was the Monster Hunter, who basically would hunt down any monster, like from spiders, creepers, and that. Next, we got the Dragon Slayer. It's basically somebody who only hunt down dragons, won't bother with the other mobs. The Pillager Slayer, these guys are a pain in the ass. If you have a village that you built and basically had villagers and like reformed pillagers show up, these guys will kill reformed pillagers, including, well, I just fucked that up. These guys will kill pillagers, including reformed pillagers, and villager guards will actually attack these guys and kill them if they enter a village. Next, we got the Witch Hunter. These guys just hunt down witches. These guys are enemies with the swamp folk because of that. We got the Piglin Hunter. These guys hunt down piglins in the nether. Then we got the Goblin Slayer. Fuck you, Goblin Slayer. These guys try to slay goblins, including like goblins who join villages and that, and basically help farmer that. These guys are usually also killed on sight, unless the village doesn't have goblins. Alright, let's move on to the animals, and then we'll move on to the new portal.
Buildings. Yep.
So the first animal here is the Nether Mother, or not Nether Mother, fuck, I fucked that up. The Spider Mother. I was thinking of the Nether because I saw a portal over there. Basically, spiders will now lay eggs and guard the eggs in like these giant nests made of webs. Basically, though, when the eggs hatch, there's these baby spiders that crawl on the mother's back, and the mother will then crawl around in that. I forgot to add in the cave spider version, but basically these spiders will now make dens and basically lay eggs and breed and protect their young. The next one is the Trained Ravager. Now, this is a Ravager who does not have horns. Basically, these guys are domesticated and villagers use them as, like, for guards or mounts, or even they carry around merchandise.
Such a beautiful smile.
Next is the Boar. Basically, it's a giant pig with, like, tusks and that. These guys wander around in the dark forests, forest biomes, birchwood biomes, and basically even grassland biomes. These guys you don't fuck with, because they'll charge at you. Next, we got a natural spawn-in dog who does not look like a wolf, basically. And they come in different colors. Next, we got a duck. These guys will be on the water in that. Then we got nether sheep. These guys spawn in basically at one certain biome in the nether. We got the yak, which is basically a new type of cow. That has like a new type of milk that has a new effect. We got the bobcat. Yep, we got the bobcat that... Oh, you can also shear these guys. We got the bobcat is basically a new tameable cat, which also attacks you. Then we got a wolf pack. Basically, it's like a group of wolves that spawn in a pack and will not leave each other's side and move as one. When you tame one, you tame the whole pack. Next, we got the dire wolf. It's basically a big wolf that went extinct a long time ago, and it's now in Minecraft. You can actually tame these guys, but when you attack them, they'll summon a wolf pack to them. Then we got the zebra. We got the beaver.
They'll basically build dams within the rivers to prevent some creatures from getting in.
Yeah, they'll basically build dams in that. We got the turkey. These guys can be found in the swamp and forests. We got the lion, which can be found in the savanna biome. Including also some other places. We got camels. These guys are found only in the desert. We got the
deer.
These guys are found pretty much everywhere.
I wish
we got the bear. It's just a regular old brown bear or black bear that wanders around. We got the cave bear, and with that cave update coming, this guy seems appropriate. It's basically a new type of bear you run into in caves who attack you. It's basically a larger form of bear that went extinct. Next, we got the frog. These guys will spawn in swamps and in streams and that.
I mean, we have lily pad, but never frogs.
Yeah, I notice. Next, we got the love slime. Now, this is a pink slime that can heal the player, including villagers. You can find these slimes usually in a villager witch's hut. These guys are also tameable and will ride on your shoulder, or even be over your head, basically like a helmet and that. And when you jump off a cliff with them and land on the ground, you don't take damage, instead you bounce up.
As they protect you, yeah.
Yeah. Next we got the Enderwolf. It's basically an Enderwolf, like, it's a wolf that's in the Ender. If you look it straight in the eyes, it becomes aggressive like an Enderman will attack you. You also have to use a type of, like, a bone or even a type of plant that you get from the Ender to actually tame these guys. Next we have the Coyote. Basically self-explanatory. It's just a coyote, and they do attack sheep, including chickens and other animals, even foxes. Would you like to read this one?
The water slime basically can only be found in the... what was that? With the Guardians?
No, it can only be found in the water and even with the Guardians. in those undersea temples. These guys basically float around and like go up and down in the water, and can even jump above the water. Next, we got a bull. Now, a bull is pretty self-explanatory, except here's the thing. When you get a cow, if you find a bull, the bull's horns are usually bigger and doesn't have like the white on them. If you breed a cow with a bull, you can actually usually have more calves. Basically, you can get, like, when you breed two cows together, you'll get usually one calf. You breed a cow and a bull together, you'll actually get tree calves, with a chance of another one being a bull. Would you like to read this one?
The lynx.
Again, it's like the bobcat, except it's not tameable. Then we got Ender Wolf packs. These guys move as one, and if you look one of them in the eye, the others become aggressive. We got Coyote packs that are usually packs of tree, or even sometimes two. Then we got the Rock Slime. It's basically a giant slime that's made of rock and does more damage, and doesn't jump as high. Then we got the Moose. These guys you can find pretty much anywhere in the forest biomes or grasslands. Oh, wait, we did add it in. Then we got the Cave Spider Mother. We got the Wild Hog, which is a wild pig, which is different because it has fur on it, and you can actually shear it. Then we got this guy, the Feral Villager. Basically, this guy you cannot trade with unless you have food in your hand. It's kind of like piglins with gold, except here's the thing. A Feral Villager has torn clothes and basically attacks the player, and basically can be found in swamplands, forest biomes, jungle biomes, and even savanna biomes, or even sometimes desert. You can find them pretty much anywhere, except they're basically like a madman. You can find them in like caves and other places. They're basically villagers who were forced out of villages by pillagers and went feral because they couldn't find food or that, and basically attacked other villagers. And you can probably guess what happened. Now, with the Rise of the Ancient update, I imagine basically you can find like these types of like places all over the world. You can find like these new types of camps that actually have like giant portals that are intact, and including some cages in other places. You can find basically in these cages nether prisoners, which are villagers who are being taken to the nether. Which brings us to the nether part of the update. The nether villagers. Would you like to read this one, or?
Yep.
I need a water, damn. Book's over here. Alright.
I'm here.
Alright, here's the book.
This is the sheepman.
Oh yeah, it's like, I'm talking about the sheepmen. These guys are the new villagers for the nether.
The sheepmen are actually friendly villagers who were born and raised within the nether, who help NPCs and players against hostile mobs, such as the piglin, to blazes, to wither skeletons, ghasts. The sheepmen are kind folk, but they also have their weaknesses, such as hounds. They're very terrified of dogs. Back when the builders first attempted to live within the nether, they brought two separate breeds of animals, which were pigs and sheep. However, when the builders failed to live in the nether from creating a drastic mistake they called the wither, they were driven out by the very thing they created, and was forced to abandon their livestock, driving some towards the end for shelter and others towards another world.
So sheepmen are basically a form of sheep that evolved in the nether. You can find them with like nether sheep as well. These guys spawn in like the green like mushroom biomes down there. We got the sheepman chief, which is the chief of their tribe. The sheepman, which is just a regular sheepman that farms in that. The sheepman guard that guards them, and the sheepman warrior, who you can usually find wander in the nether fighting piglins and even nether pillagers. Would you like the... Could you read the names from my throat's dry?
Yep. The nether prisoner.
Basically, these guys are captured from pillagers or even piglins and brought into like the nether.
The scavenger.
Basically, these guys are found in the overworld and in the nether, scavenging like abandoned villages and other places. These guys become aggressive when you open up any chest in their area.
The nether villager.
Nether scavengers right here. Then we got the nether villagers. These are villagers who were freed by the sheepmen and basically decided to settle in the nether with them. Next we got the nether pillager. These guys are self-explanatory. the Nether Mage.
Mage.
These guys use magic in the Nether and are also pillagers. The Nether Imp. These
Basically,
guys...
it's like a hellish form of goblins.
It's not a goblin. I gotta tell you this again. It's not a goblin. These guys are like a demon-like thing. These guys have wings and fly around. Next we have the Netherman. The Netherman can be basically either a pillager or sheepman like a villager or something else. Basically a child like villager wanders into a nether portal and basically gets adopted by sheepmen or piglins and basically becomes either a pillager or basically villager. Nethermen, however, are different. They will explore the nether and basically immediately head back during a certain time in the nether and, well, will sleep. Nethermen, sheepmen, and nether villagers are the only ones who are able to sleep in the nether because they make a special type of bed that they can actually sleep in. Regular old beds will explode. And that's pretty much it for this area. Let's move on to the portals of this. So,
Feral portals.
The Feral Portal. A Feral Portal is made with basically Crying Obsidian and
The Eyes of Ender.
Eyes of Ender. Yeah, I couldn't say it, my throat's dry. So I'll let him read the book.
This is a feral portal, once built by Notch himself, but soon dismantled due to the dangers of what lurks inside. But they were soon later rebuilt by the builders to escape the Wither, and through their ignorance returned such dangers. So now the feral portal replicates itself to randomly be generated, and you may find a ruin portal that can be rebuilt with Crying Obsidian and the Eyes of Ender.
Basically, the builders returned from this portal. I believe the builders, some built strongholds underground and went to like the end where they accidentally turned into the Enderman after being stuck there with the Ender Dragon. And others went through a different portal that they found originally underground and decided to try to rebuild to escape the Wither. And when they went through, they found out they could go back, but it would take some time to reopen it. Unlike the builders who went to the end, who found there was no way back at all. But some of them found a way to escape after they evolved into Endermen. Alright, let's move back over to these guys over here. You behind me? Alright, the new pillagers of the update. New pillagers. Let's read this. Pretty short.
Got it. Alright. These are... I'm sorry. These are newly discovered pillagers who may be different in their own way, but are pillagers nonetheless.
So, these are just like new types of pillagers. We got the Nomad Pillager. These are like a band of pillagers who basically keep going and will set up nomad camps. However, unlike nomads who will tear down their camps and then move on, these guys leave their camps up and then just keep building everywhere else. They're an annoyance that you do have to pretty much kill. Would you like to read the next one?
The Pillager Merchant.
These pillagers will actually spawn in and trade, and you can usually find them surrounded by other pillagers. They'll approach you if you stay still, and they'll basically trade with you. And over here, we got the Snow Pillager. These are basically a pillager that spawns in, like, the snowy mountains and those snow tundra biomes. And basically, these guys use a unique certain type of snow magic. Ravager Riders. These guys will ride Ravagers. Originally, Ravagers were part of, like, patrols, but were cut. Me, I don't like the fact they were cut. I found it was funny and fun to go against them. They are basically... It basically brings them back. But these guys are not on every patrol. You can usually find them in like a Ravager Rider patrol, which is nothing but Ravager Riders, or even like 2 Ravager Riders in a patrol. Next we got the Corrupted Builder. It's one of the ancient builders who decided to join the pillagers and basically pillage. These guys will build like towers and that for like basically pillagers right near villages. That way they have a closer view of the village and will pillage it once in a while. Next we got the Corrupted Villager. It's basically a villager who joined the pillagers. Now, they don't have gray skin like the pillagers, just basically their skin is a bit darker and they still have that unibrow, except it changed to an angry unibrow, basically. Then we got the Pillager Goblin, basically a goblin whose tribe got slaughtered or basically killed off, and they joined up with a pillager. Then we got the Pillager Jester, sorry, my throat's dry. These guys are basically a unique pillager. They don't make a or noise. These guys make a weird laughing noise, kind of like the witch, but a bit more disturbing. These guys don't carry around a crossbow, axe, or anything. They carry around a certain type of weapon that I'll show you over there. Next we got the Pillager Pirate. These guys spawn on pillager ships and can even steer boats. Next we got the Pillager Captain. These guys also spawn on boats and that, but they also spawn in patrols. Now, let's move on to the items. So, we got the throwing knife. This is the object the Pillager Jester uses. These guys drop throwing knives and they basically throw them at the player multiple times. Oh, we should probably talk about that, yeah, before we show those. So this is, where are you?
Right here.
Alright. This is the Ender Villager. Would you like to...
Yeah, let me just grab the book. This is what is assumed to be an Ender Villager. The Ender Villagers were once forced to work for and worship the Ender Dragon. However, some have remembered their past lives as descendants of the Builders, and decided to escape the clutches of the Ender Dragon and return home to the world they once considered themselves the rulers of, but found they weren't the only ones who returned.
Dun dun dun. So basically it's an Enderman who's a bit shorter and will look like a villager in that, and basically does trade with the player. However, they wear a unique mask and get enraged when you look them in the eyes. So they wear a mask that looks like the player's face, a creeper's face, or even a skeleton face. Next we got Moonshine. This is made by Swamp Folk merchants, and when you kill a Swamp Folk, you usually have like a chance to get it. It'll basically make you dizzy in that, but however, it makes you extremely fast. Then we got a lasso. A lasso is used on... Why do you keep moving down? A lasso is used on villagers and including pillagers. When you lasso a pillager, you basically blindfold them and you see their hands are now in front of them, tied up. Basically, you're able to lead the pillagers to like any place you want. It also works on creepers, skeletons, and zombies. Basically, it makes it so the creeper won't blow up in that. You can even use it on swamp folk and witches. So now if you want to capture one and put it in a cage, you can. Next we got obsidian tools, such as pickaxe, sword, axe, you get the gist. It's like a lot stronger. Next you got a gold crown. You got a diamond crown. Here's the thing, if you go up to a villager and the village is not that big, you give a villager a gold crown, they'll instantly become a king or queen, and then some villagers will randomly spawn in, such as builders and that, and immediately start building. If you give them a diamond one, you get an empress or emperor. Now, if you give a goblin villager a obsidian like crown, or not obsidian, netherite crown, you get a goblin overlord. But it will be a friendly goblin overlord. It won't be like the other ones who are aggressive. These ones will actually rule the village and basically rule over it. Oh. Next we got iron Ravager armor, iron dragon armor, and leather pig armor. This is like armor types that will go over like the new mounts and that. Then we got yak milk. Basically it's like milk but a bit different. We got ender seeds. These are like seeds that you can plant and through like those ender blocks in the overworld that'll grow those trees or even new types of crops. We got spider eggs. We got titanium tools, basically a new type of ore that'll spawn in, titanium. This is something that goblins will actually use. Then we got the the what?
The soul flint and steel.
The soul flint and steel. Basically
that's the
it's made with soul sand and it'll light stuff on fire that's blue. You can use that for the feral portals to activate them. Next we got the boar saddle, the dragon saddle, and the Ravager saddle. Then we got the steel ore. This is a new type of metal that's in the game. You can use it to build tools as well as armor. Then we got the silver. This is used by monster hunters, and it does more damage to certain creatures in the game. Now, the way you would tame a Ravager, you could actually tame them, and when you enter a village, you can actually find them in a pen with a bunch of cows. If you found like a patrol and you managed to kill like the rider, you could lure these guys to basically a cow pasture. Now, here's what you do. Basically, you stun them with your shield, you bring out the lasso, you lasso them. Once then, you bring them to a cow pasture and you tie them up, and over time they become docile to the cows, and eventually they lose their horns. Now, here's the thing. You can actually breed Ravagers together, but here's the thing. You gotta breed 2 cows near them, and then they'll end up, like, breeding as well. Oh, I should probably head back to the Swamp Goblin.
Oh, yeah.
So, let's head back there. So, the Swamp Goblin. Basically, it's a goblin who lost its tribe and ended up joining the Swamp Folk. Now, I should probably explain this. It's when a Swamp Father dies, basically, the swamp, and there's like no other Swamp Folk around on it. There's like one Swamp Hunter. The Swamp Hunter has an interesting role. They won't actually basically become a Swamp Father. They'll head out with like a lasso and basically capture any villager, pillager, or other Swamp Folk members and bring them here, including goblins. If they bring a goblin here, or the Swamp Mother will basically have free kids with them, but here's the thing. They won't become a Swamp Father. They'll become a Swamp Goblin. Now, Swamp Hunters will go out and basically bring pillagers and that to them, and they will become Swamp Fathers. Now, a Swamp Father could be a regular villager, except their name will change and their outfit will change, but they'll still look like a villager. Same with pillagers or even some other people. And they'll immediately stick beside the Swamp Mother. But here's the thing. If a Swamp Villager or a villager is turned into a Swamp Father, they'll actually be friendly towards the player. A pillager, however, not so much. A goblin, it depends on the type of goblin. If it was a villager goblin or if it was just a goblin explorer. Basically, it'll differ on, like, the types. Alright, let's move on to the big thing of this update. Now, this is something I wanted in Minecraft for a long time. Dragons. Let's read the book.
Some have thought the Ender Dragon to be the only one of its kind, but soon discovered that the builders returned to the world they once know and were forced out due to the Wither. They discovered they had brought creatures who had been banished by Notch himself, and thanks to the builders, accidentally leaving the feral portal open, returning the creatures back into the world they were once banished from.
Now, there'll
Rise
be...
of the Dragon. Sorry.
Well, it's Rise of the Ancients, so yeah, it's the rise of the dragons and builders, basically, including, like, new creatures that were banished. Or thought to have gone extinct. Now, obviously, we have the Magma Dragon. These guys are found in the Nether, basically. Next, we have the Forest Dragon. These guys are found in forests, and they're actually a bit small. They're actually smaller than other dragons. Basically, these dragons come in different sizes. We got the Jungle Dragon that has, like, a brownish-like skin with a bit of leaves on it. We got the Ice Dragon that's found in basically snow biomes or even ice biomes. We got the Earth Dragon, which is usually found in grasslands or even sometimes near ravines and that. We got the Sandstone Dragon. We got the idiot wearing the dragon mask. I'm joking about that one. We got the Woolly Dragon. This dragon's found in snow biomes as well as ice biomes and that, and they have fur on them. If you shear these guys' fur, they become aggressive and will attack you. These guys are actually docile and friendly, the Woolly Dragons. Next thing you know, we have the Water Dragons. I used Lapis instead of Coral because the Coral kept dying. Basically, these guys will spawn out in the oceans and that, and basically make their nests out in the ocean. Next thing you know, we have Elemental Dragons, Diamond Dragon, Emerald Dragon, Iron Dragon, Gold Dragon. These guys basically have like their scales basically look like these things. Next, we have the Red Dragon, aka the Fire Dragon. These guys basically spawn in the Nether and in the Overworld. Then we have the Stone Dragon, aka the Rock Dragon. These guys spawn mostly in mountain areas. So, these are dragon nests. Well, depictions of them. This is an ice dragon nest. These guys will spawn usually one egg and basically will guard their egg. When a dragon mates, basically the male dragon will then leave and the one dragon parent will guard their egg. That is the ice dragon egg. Here is the the magma dragon. These guys will make their nests out of basically anything hot. And lay usually 2 or 1 egg. Same with the water dragon. The water dragon will lay usually like 4 or 1 egg. Forest dragons, however, they usually lay... Aw, dang, the other egg's gone. They'll usually lay 2 or 3 eggs. The jungle dragon will actually make its nest in a tree, and basically you can find the nest because it actually looks like somebody's made a hunting blind. You can usually find 1, 2, 3, 4 eggs, or even 5 eggs in the tree. And the mother dragon will also be found in the tree sometimes as well. Now, elemental nests, elemental dragons will actually steal diamond ore, diamond blocks, and will even kill basically elemental golems to basically get the stuff to make their nests. And their eggs usually look almost like the ore itself. And you have the emerald, iron, that sort of thing. Now, we have desert dragons. Desert dragons will actually make their nests out of sand and sandstone. They'll even have cactuses near the nests. Now, baby dragons won't leave the nest until they get to a certain size. Next, we have the earth dragon. Earth dragons usually have like a green skin to a brown skin. They basically will make their nests underground or pile up some dirt over it and basically guard it. They usually have a lot of eggs. Then we got the rock dragons. These guys make their dragons usually in caves and that. Then we got the woolly dragons. These dragons will usually make their nests out of snow and ice and even leaves and logs. They keep their eggs warm. They'll even lay on top of the nests. You could go into a woolly dragon's den and it would not attack you unless you attacked the eggs or sheared its wool off. Woolly dragons are naturally friendly. Now, here's the thing. Dragons will make their nests in different places, but here is a dragon den. Dragon dens will have different types of dragons, but most dragons are basically weaker. There's a group of dragons called hybrid dragons. These ones are basically dragons you don't want to mess with. When you get to a dragon den of a hybrid, you usually find it either surrounded by lava or a cave in a mountainside or forest side or anything. When you enter the cave, you usually find a bunch of ore from different, depending from... Did you stop that? You'll find gold, diamonds, emeralds, even iron, and some other stuff. But you'll also find a lot of lava, and then you'll find a nest. Now, this is a red dragon's den. Basically, dragons will make their homes and nests as comfortable as they can. This could also be a rock dragon's nest. As you can see, there's a bunch of eggs. Now, here's the thing. Dragons will grab pigs, cows, and even sometimes villagers from villages and bring them back to the nest, to which case they'll drop them in the nest with their eggs. And basically feed the eggs when they're hatched. Now, here's another unique thing. You'll also find usually gold, diamonds, or emeralds nearby the nest. Same with elemental dragons. Now, if you found a dragon egg and you slayed a dragon or that, you could actually take the dragon egg to a dragon knight, and they'll immediately give you basically usually 50 emeralds for it. Now, once you give the dragon knight a dragon egg, they'll stop trying to sell stuff to you and immediately run off. You cannot click them, you cannot do anything. They'll run into a temple building, place the egg down, and then basically after a couple of days the eggs will hatch and they tame the dragon. To which case they then guard the village on a dragon. Sounds OP, doesn't it? And that's pretty much it for this, so we should move into the structures. Alright, structure number 1.
The Dragon Beacon.
Yep.
This is a beacon of which elemental dragons summon and use to help hatch their kin.
Yep. So, elemental dragons can't hatch their own eggs. At least not all of them. The emerald one can, and so can the gold one. Well, the iron one. The gold and diamond, however, summons basically these obsidian-like towers, the type you can find in the end, and will lay like their nests like in between them. You'll usually find 2 to 3 like towers, and basically there will be like, how do I put this? Like eggs in the middle, and the tower sends off the beacons into the eggs, hatching them. Oh, jeez, I forgot to add the thing to this. Where's that experience bottle? There it is.
That's just something I put in, remember?
Yep. Now, here's something. When an alligator gets a hold of the player, they'll do basically a death roll, including like 2 animals. And you'll basically see this emotion where the water is like flickering in that. After it stops, it means like the animal is like either dead or eaten by the alligator. Now that, you'll also see bubbles coming up from where an alligator is underwater. Oh, we forgot to talk about that one animal that despawned. This update also adds in the shark.
Oh yeah.
The dolphin kept despawning, so I forgot about it. Basically, a shark is self-explanatory. It swims around in like the oceans and that, but you can find them in lakes and once in a while in swamps. But here's the thing, sharks will have different appearances. You have the swamp shark, you have the river shark, which is a bit smaller, and then you have the ocean shark that's actually the biggest.
The river shark, that means the tiger shark, right?
Yeah. Then, you behind me still, or? Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Builder Tower. These are usually found outside of, basically, builder settlements. The rise of the ancient settlements, like castles, that sort of thing. These are basically lookout towers. Let's read the book.
These towers can be randomly generated or placed within a village. It's just simple.
Yep. This, we haven't done anything in here, so I imagine like the developers could add this. The towers will usually have different types of banners depending on the village. And you can usually find guards and other people in here, like archers and that. You usually find beds and other stuff here, and a ladder over there that leads up to here. Villagers could also now use ladders, basically. Alright, let's move over here.
Wait, yeah, I'm here. The abandoned camps.
Yep.
This is an abandoned work camp for both logging and or fishing. The camps can be found disclosed or in use but most. Oh, God damn it! These camps can be found disclosed or in use, but most will be taken over by goblins, pillagers, or nomads.
Basically, these places are usually taken over by nomads. If a nomad group takes over this place, they don't leave the place at all. They basically technically settle down here. Pillagers, however, will turn the place into basically a pillager camp, and you can usually find an evoker and a vindicator here. Now, as for like where you'll find the evoker, when you enter the room, you usually find a vindicator wander around. You usually find like a table where basically the people have meetings and that. Now, you'll also find something that has been added to the work camp, such as like an underground library where you find an enchantment table, and you'll even find 2 witches, including the invoker, and you'll usually find a captured villager, or in an alchemist lab. You'll also find something else. You will usually find basically a strange dungeon-like area, where you'll normally find basically a zombie piglin and a zombie villager trapped in a cage. You'll also find a door, which behind it is a nether portal. Another door, you find basically a room that you either would find the evoker or the vindicator in, or is it evoker? Evoker in, or you'll usually find the invoker here or up in the library area. You never find them above ground, basically. Now, if it was taken over by goblins, this would not be here, basically. Basically, if goblins took over, there would be vines, and basically the table would be gone. You basically find a wooden throne here with skulls surrounding it, and you would usually find beds scattered around and loads of vines. And so you would also find a hog pit. It's where basically they'll keep like wild boars and even like some hogs, basically. and you'll usually find them saddling them up and basically ride them around. You'll even find like a farm here that the goblins will use, as it will be one of the few things that's kept in shape, including a yak pen, which the goblins will also use. You will even find the yak pen here during like a work camp, like where the work camp's not abandoned. However, a work camp usually does not have a wall around it. Well, that's not always true. Sometimes it'll have a wall, other times it will not. You'll also find a mine where you can find miners in it when the work camp's like in use. And you'll even find lumberjacks out in the woods, or you'll find fishermen in the boathouse. And the boathouse will not look abandoned, but this is what it looks like when goblins are in control of it. Goblins do know how to use boats, though. Now, you'll also find leftover logs in that, but when it's a goblins take over, they'll also build tents on the outside and sleep in the buildings on the inside. However, you'll also find wooden buildings on the inside of the camp, including some on the outside. And you'll usually find a lot of guards. And a new villager called a workman former, or a former. Basically, it's a type of logger who becomes like a leader of the group and basically gives the loggers emeralds, basically. And if there's a village nearby, they'll immediately take the wood that they got given to them by the logmen, including the fishermen, and take it to basically the villagers there and give them the supplies. It'll give the builders wood, and it'll give like the fish to the fishermen there, or even the villagers as food. Alright, let's move to the next area. Where are you? There you are. Ah, here we go. Now, I believe this is the last one.
Nope. After this one, we still gotta do the flag description.
Oh, right. So, this is a pretty basic place. Let's read this first. Here we go.
This is the end village of which the population are villagers who escaped from the end, that have left and wish to settle down on the overworld and in the end.
Basically, you can find like these villagers, like these Ender villagers in the end world and including the regular world. You'll find buildings like this, and you'll find trees, including some other plants in that. Basically, the Endermen are like... These are like a shorter form of Endermen who build in that, and they're basically friendly, but if you attack them and you eventually knock off their mask, they basically become aggressive and will attack you, and once the player is dead, they immediately cover their face with both arms, and you see them like crying in that. However, if their mask got knocked off by a pillager or that, you could pick up the mask because they dropped it, and if you left-click them, or right-click, or whatever it is, you basically give them the mask back, and they'll immediately cheer up and basically give you a useful item. Something that's either enchanted or even emeralds. Alright, let's move on to the flags. Pardon me. Alright, we're moving on to the last thing of this update. Ignore that over there, that is not part of the update.
Just something our darling host would love to keep to himself.
Oh, wrong area. Alright, go ahead.
These are the flags that were created by all new humanoid creatures. Scully will tell you who built what flag and what they represent.
Alright. So, the first flag here represents Dragon Riders. You can find this flag in basically any village for that. Dragon Riders are friendly and usually use dragons to guard villages. Next, you have a Builder flag. This flag is used by a group of builders who basically, well, this is their flag basically. The next is an Ender flag. This is used by Ender villages. There's two types of Ender villagers you can come across. A type that does not like dragons, and a type that actually does. Next we got a Pillager banner. This Pillager banner is used by most pillagers. Here's another Builder banner. Another Builder banner. That's a joke. This one's actually used by pillagers as well. This one's used by builders. This is a Goblin banner. This is also a Goblin banner. This is used by all types of pirate pillagers, including pirate goblins. This is a village banner. This is basically for a village that does not have a king or queen or that. However, their flags will immediately change when they get a king or queen. And this is a banner for can you move up a bit? This banner is used by like goblins who have either a king, queen, or overlord. Or if you come across a goblin village. Same, basically if you have this flag, it'll change into one of these two. Now this is for goblin pirates, this flag right here. This is a group of goblins you don't mess with. These guys are always aggressive in that. This is another group of pillagers. This is for like a group that uses Ravager Riders. And this is the other end flag. This is the one for basically the ones who like dragons.
And that's pretty much it.
And that's pretty much it. This was the Rise of the Ancients update. Update we wish to see. Now, this is not an official update, I do gotta mention it, but if you goblins liked it, hit that like button and let me know what you would have added in this update. And hell, maybe if one of the people who helped make Minecraft sees this, they might add this in as an update. Me and a good amount of other people wish to actually see this, that's why I put a Minecraft update we wish to see, so yeah, that's why I haven't named this. If you don't like it, then hit the dislike button. But, yeah, this is pretty much it. This is pretty much what I want to see in the next update after the... Was it Caves and Cliffs update? Yeah, Caves and Cliffs update. I really hope to see these creatures and that added into the game at some point, but I do have my doubts, but that is pretty much it. So, without further ado, to my fellow goblins out there, may your pockets be full of gold, may your loot be plentiful, and may you always have a village or a kingdom by that you can loot and plunder to your heart's content. And I forgot to hit that subscribe button to join our little band of Goblin Outlaws and our little Goblin tribe here on YouTube. Oh, and go check out Chris of the Abyss's channel to join his Abyss Assassins and to become an Abyss Assassin. You thought I was all say the other thing, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
But anyways, Goblins, peace out. See you in the next one, and goodbye.